Hello, I'm Chris. Welcome to Gross Models. This time I'll be building the A-wing Starfighter. Right, let's get the box open and see what we have inside. It's one of these 144 kits, but to a small scale again. As with all of these, it's going to be stickers rather than decals, but we'll see what we can make it happen. Right, let's get the plastic open. I'll be back in a sec. Right, there we go. And this is obviously a double pack, so I'm expecting, and indeed have found, two identical sprues and two identical sprues, and one sheet of stickers, and the stand. Now the stand on this is the same as all the others, so I haven't opened that as yet. But there should be some way of displaying the two, I understand it. Yeah, there we go. There's a add-on piece that you attach onto the single stand, which gives you the two, obviously using one of each, so you can display the two next to each other. Right, there's not much to it, obviously, so I'll put one aside, so we're only worrying about the one kit. We've got the top and bottom of the hull, the two side engines, two guns, a couple of detail bits, and the back and the cockpit. So not much to it at all. I'll say I'm not going to be using the stickers on it. I will be painting this. It's only basically the two colours, and the cockpit needs to be black. So not too bad, fairly easy to mask and paint. Right, I'll get some bits cut off and start getting them put together. Right, as ever with these, the instructions are on the inside of the box. Basically it's take one bit, put a couple of bits in it, put them together, then put the engines on the outside after putting the covers on the engines, then the cockpit and the two covers. Right, the body apparently is off-white, and then flat white. Off-white and flat white. The red body is cocoa brown and red madder, and the rear of the laser cannons is flat black. So pretty easy. The cockpit's also going to be black, obviously. So mainly white with a little bit off-white, so I'll just be mixing up a custom slightly creamy white, I think, will be the one that I need for that. Right, these are all the parts, obviously. This is the bit that goes on the stand, so I won't need that for now, although I will be painting that in black. Right, let's just check before I try and put these together if they just cut them all off without worrying too much about them. They look identical. Obviously these are reversed, but yeah, one's slightly offset to the other one. I'm just going to lightly put these together to begin with. Going to have to check for references and things to see what bits I want in different colours. Right, that was that. Now which one of those? That's the bigger one there. Still not sure exactly what these bits are. Or how they go together. Let's double check the instructions again. Right, I figured this was going to be so simple. When will I learn? Apparently not today. Well, that's the bit with the detail on it, which obviously has to be at the bottom. Let's see how all this goes together. That goes on there like that, so it's leaving that bit right on the edge. So let's see, does that go there? Yep, that goes in there. I'll do the same the other side. There's several little cutout bits on here that are more the other side of the cutouts rather than the actual cutouts themselves. So that just goes in like that, with the engine at the back. And then with these, the thicker bit is at the top, so that will be that way round. in and in. Strange, it's just to put them in after you've got it together, but it seems harder to put it in together when it's together. Ah, before you put the engine in, that's where I went wrong. Then that slides in, there we go. Get it all the right way around, that slides in, then the engine in. There we go. Then the little bits, the cockpit and the guns. And which way up do the guns go? Long barrel at the bottom. And there you have it, mostly, as I say, not fully snapped together, but just together enough to give an idea. Now they are larger than they should be, really, larger than they were in the original trilogy of films, but apparently in the Rebels CG cartoon they're actually this scale. So let's pull down the traditional X-Wing. There we go, for scale purposes. Obviously next to the X-Wing it's quite big. Next to a plane it's quite big as well. And with the person, obviously to scale, it's a fair size. It's not bad, it's just bigger than I was sort of expecting it to be, but yeah, it will do. Right, I was gonna get the other one made up as well, and then get them both ready for painting. They'll be primed. I think I'll prime these in grey, because black's going to be a bit too black, seeing as it's going to be mainly white anyway. And white, I don't know, this is already a sort of yellowy white colour, so grey gives me enough depth to it. I can actually see exactly where I've primed and go from there without having to add pink to it or make any different colours. So I've got the second sprue to make up and then get them ready for painting. Right, that's them all built. That's how the stand works as well. It's quite nice. It gives you obviously the movement that you always get with the ball joint on the top there, so you can have them positioned in any, well, many angles, shall we say, not exactly any. And the two themselves can be adjusted at different positions. You can't have them at different angles, but you can have them in slightly different formations between the two. All in all, that's not bad. Right, I'll get them, say, primed again and then see about how they're going to be painted. Right, that's the black primed, still wet, as you can probably see the shiny bits on there. I need to leave that properly to dry. I did the guns in black as well. I think the metallic's going to go better over the black than it ever does over the white or grey. And there we have the grey, which I did previously. The engines, the back and the main body all assembled, and the second one exactly the same. So I need to leave all those to dry properly, then I'll get back. I'm going to be doing all of the bits that need to be the off-white. I'll paint first, let that dry properly, and then mask that off so I can get the red onto it as well. So that's that for now. When the paint's dry, I'll get on and get the next step done. Okay, that's all primed and painted in the one colour. Done the engines in white. Over the grey it gives us slightly off white, which is exactly what I was after. So that's those, and the bodies themselves obviously looking good. The stand, I've just given a gloss coat over the matte primer. No need to really paint that, so hopefully that will hold up quite well. Obviously they're not going to be played with or move around very much. The guns I brush painted in gunmetal and then gave a gloss coat to as well. They should be okay. I was careful not to paint, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, the barrel, the insides of the barrels. Probably can't quite see. Yeah, they're still black. So that's quite a nice touch. They're actually recessed in on the kit, so it's nicely easy to paint over the top and still have it look good. Right, so I need to leave all that to dry again and get it all out of the way. Once it's properly dry, I need to make sure it's absolutely dry before the masking goes on. I'll be masking off where I need to and then doing the colours. I think I'll stick with the stock red, or slightly off red. Don't know, maybe the hull red that I've got is quite a good match to these stickers. Let's grab one out and have a look. Gunmetal, red brown, a bit too brown, no. Sorry, I should have got this sorted before. There we go, hull red. Tamiya's hull red is almost exactly a match for that, so I think I'll stick with that going forward, see how it looks. I do have another pack of these that I'll probably do up in a different colour, so we'll see how it looks. Anyway, that's the update for the first level of painting. I'll get some masking done and then show you what's what. Alright, now the paint's dry. This is why I didn't put it all together properly. The covers for the engine bays I've removed, so I can paint those in the red. And on the other side, on one of them, I've masked off to leave, if you can see, if that light's not too bright, there you go, to leave just one single strip, which is going to be red. Not sure what I'm going to do on the other one. The inside bits are definitely going to be red as well, but I'll probably do something different with the masking on that rather than just the single, exactly the same. Maybe the same but thicker. I haven't really decided yet. I'll come to that in a moment. The body of itself, the white bits are going to be around the edge. Basically there's a red stripe down the middle that tapers down and gets narrower here, same top and bottom. There are some panel lines across here, so just here and here, that are nice and easy to follow. So I'm going to be masking off down across and then just straight down the bottom. One of them says got a different pattern on one side, which I might or might not put on. I haven't decided on that yet either. Probably put something different on it again to make it a bit different, but right, so to mask, basically same as ever. Let me adjust the camera for you. There you go. Right, I'm taking some masking tape, sticking it to my mat, and then with a sharp blade cutting it. Now from here, obviously I need to cut a straight edge, but it doesn't need to be that wide, so I'm going to take that basically down the middle or thereabouts. Then I can peel off. Now I'm not going to use the edge that I cut as an edge because I know it's not perfectly straight, so I'm just going to use this single edge, and I'm going to be putting that, picked up a little bit of dust or something from there, along here, just to cover the line, the edge. Doesn't matter if it goes over the top because it doesn't make any difference. So obviously that's not got the curve to the other edge. I'll be using more to do that. So again, this edge, the edge of that tape's a bit messed up, so I'll use that instead. Cut that again. I'll use that other edge. To start the rest of this, so about there, that's where that needs to go. Then I need to fill in the shaped piece, so I'm going to need a sharper corner, so just cutting. This is all just eyeballing it, there's no measurements or anything to go on. Nice thing about masking is the only important bits are right at the edge. Doesn't matter what shape you make the rest of it, as long as the edge is the shape you need it to be. So that's that, and obviously there's a gap there, so I can just fill that with any odds, and I'm going to use the last bit just to make sure I'm covering that side as well. So that's one side done. Basically you're going to be doing exactly the same the other side and on the back, so there's no point in showing you all that on camera. I'll get that done and then show you it fully masked, probably the other one as well. See you in a moment. Alright, well that finished painting a few minutes ago, so the paint's not absolutely dry, but it's dry enough to get rid of this masking and see if it worked. Let's find out. Well, it looks white underneath there. If there are problems with the edges, I can always touch them up and say it's not a custom colour, it's colours that I've got both of to hand if I need them. So let's have a look. So far I'm happy, looks good so far. It's always nice when you can use a panel line to give you an edge. Yeah, that seems okay. Hopefully it's the same on the back. Yep. So far so good. Of course that side I managed to get the tape stuck down nicely well for you. Come on, there we go. Yeah, that's nice. I left the little bit on there, probably not in the right place, but I'm not going screen accurate, I'm just going how I like it to look. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That looks quite nice. Now obviously you can see these bits that I've just been painting the line on. I'll get the masking off of those, and those go back on them as well. So I'll get the rest of the masking off. Then I've got to do the detail work with the engines and the canopy as well. The canopy I'll probably hand brush paint. There's only a couple of panels there to do, and I don't want to get the edge done, so yeah, I'll brush paint those. Right, I'll get it back done and together. See you in a moment. Right, this won't be a shock to anyone that's seen more than one of my videos in the past, but I've changed my mind. Instead of brush painting the black on this and leaving the bits red, I'm going to be doing the edge piece and the very front here in grey, as it is actually on the stickers and things. So what I'm going to be doing is painting it all black and then masking off the black and spraying grey over the top. That's going to be far easier than doing it any other way around. So got those masked up, ready to do the black. I've put together the bits on here ready to go together. Just getting more bits out of the way, and say thicker lines on two of them, thinner lines on the other. Looking at it assembled, I'm not sure if this should all be red, but it's done now and that's how I'm going to have it. So that's that. Everything else is almost assembled. The guns, I say, are ready to go. The engines are all assembled now, and that's pretty much it, apart from putting it on the stand. So I'm going to go ahead and get the black done on that, let that dry, and then remask the windows to do the grey. The grey over the black isn't going to be quite as neat as, well, neat isn't the right word, isn't going to be quite as bold as doing grey over a lighter colour, but this is very dark anyway, so it's not going to make too much difference, and it's going to be far easier to do that than to try and mask these very thin line here. So that's the plan. I'll get that done and be back in a minute. Right, that's 2 levels of masking done. Not overly happy with how it's come out. The grey is a little bit too pronounced around the edges, but that can be cured. I'll get the brushes out and touch it up with the red and some of the black as well, just to finish that off. Now, I did notice that I haven't done these side panels, the back panels there either. I think I need to do the edges in white and then the inside pieces in here as engines. I probably took a gunmetal or something, or just a darker grey. but I'll be doing that after I've got the sides in. So let's have a quick look just to see. That goes in that way round. Yeah, so I've not pushed that fully in, but just to give an idea, actually let's get it all the way in. Yeah, then the back engine I've got somewhere. Here we go, there's one. I need to do as well. That's got some white on it at the moment, but that covers, again that goes in further than that. Yeah, so that's not bad. It really is just this little bit on the outside that needs attention, and obviously the engine bits in there as well. So yeah, I need some red at the top and white across the backs, all around the edges there where I haven't got to yet. So I need to do that, a little bit of brushwork to touch that up, and then that's almost there. Not bad. I'm quite happy with how it's come out. That's the other side. Let's get the right one for there, just to get a look at that completed. Yeah, so it's almost there. Won't be long. I see some brush painting to touch up the details, but then almost there. Right, there we have it. That's some highlights of the painting done. I've put the white and the red to follow on with where it would be on here. Done some gunmetal highlights and chrome inside the whatever that is, thruster assembly. Inside the engines itself, I put some chrome around the centre of this ring and some copper into the engine. All of those, and similar on the main back engines. If you can see any of that, again sort of chrome, gunmetal and copper inside there. Right, I'm going to get these assembled, and then I can see exactly what else needs doing, what else needs painting and touching up. So the assemblies there just slot in. I haven't used any glue at all on these builds. Bandai kits, as ever, have been lovely. There's very rarely any need to do any gluing. Of course, saying that, I might glue the guns on, because they're small bits, not very much point of contact on those. Let's see how they go on now, shall we? Pretty sure it was that way around. Actually, with the paint on that, that gives them that little bit more grip. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be lovely as well. So that's that. Let's get an engine on the back there, and then we'll pretty much be done. Again, the paint just adds that slight layer of thickness, so they're a little bit tighter going in than they were before they were painted. But that's quite nice, I like that. Let's get that one on as well. Get that properly lined up in there. And 2 more guns for that one. Do 1 and 2. Right, so that's the majority of this build completed. I'm pretty happy with the way they've come out. There's obviously some weathering to do. Now it's assembled, I see about touching up a little bit around the back there as well, finishing off the engines. But once that's darkened up, that'll be fine. Yeah, I'm happy with them. Not bad at all. Nice, lovely little kits, as they always are on these. Right, I'll get the last little bits. Actually, not much I need to touch up on there. I'm pretty happy with all of that. I might add a little bit more detail in there, but actually, you know, I think I'm probably going to leave that like that. Once that's weathered, it's not going to be anything else visible in there anyway. The engine's not all the way in either. Let's get that further in. There you go. Yeah, I don't think that's going to get any better. I think that's the main paint done. So I'll get that done with a gloss coat, and then do some weathering. So next up, let's see what we're going to do to weather. It's going to be the normal, sort of like a wash, just to bring out the panel lines and make everything a little bit blended, and then some darkening around the engines and probably along these vents or wherever they are, blasters, torpedo bays, something. Yeah, mainly a wash, but I'll show you what I'm doing on that in a bit. See you in a moment. Right, that's that one done. Now, it doesn't actually look like very much when you look at it on its own, but when you see it next to the clean one, it's actually very noticeable just how much difference it makes. Just about make out both of them there. So it's only when you see it next to one that's untouched that you can really appreciate the variations and the highlights and the difference it makes. And that was just the Starship wash. So now I'm going to go over a couple of bits with streaking, add some more to the backs of the engines. With the streaking, it's obviously done slightly differently. I'm going to be using a finer brush and just adding very small amounts. In just small little patches here and there, and some more obviously around the engines as well. And this just is then, excuse me, I'm just paying attention to where I'm putting it, just a little bit to begin with. I'll do a little bit more underneath as well, again into the recesses where it's going to gather. And then once again with some thinners, but mostly dry, actually just brushing that gently backwards. It removes most of it, but just leaves a small sort of streak and smear. It's going to take 2 or 3 or 4 or more passes, but again it just sort of gathers in the recesses where you want it to sit. So I'll just add a few more patches of that, perhaps a little bit heavier and a little bit less thinner to leave a little bit more. But again, once I've done that, I'll come back and show you the two compared again. Right, one other technique I'm trying out on this one is just to put one blob of, so a couple of places, and then actually use quite a lot of thinner and position it just above it so it drips down and actually creates a streak. Adding a bit more if it's too pronounced still, but obviously letting the gravity actually pull that streak away where it needs to be. So I'm going to do that a bit more, add some depth into the recesses there as well. And that's the next step, the streaking done on there as well. And this is still left a little bit wet because I need it wet when I'm going to be adding the slag powder. But again, it looks fine as it is. But when you see it next to the shiny white one, you can actually see noticeable differences. It just adds a darkening to everything. The engines look much more realistic, nicer and used. Right, so the next step is the powder, the pigment, which for this you need a really old brush, and I'm just going to be adding that, if I can find my really old brush. That'll do, that's pretty horrible. Now this is just a powder. Don't know how well that shows up on the camera, but yeah. So what I'm doing is getting some on a brush, pretty much just dusting it into the engines and around the engines. It gives a nice darkening without being a liquid that seeps everywhere. Some around the guns as well. And also around the ends of the engines and inside there. Just creates something like a sort of heat blaze or that sort of thing. And again, using the thinners you can get rid of very easily. Anywhere you don't want it to be, where it's drifted to the inside there. It does create a bit more smearing and streaks as well, which is fine. That's pretty much where I need that. Again, it just sort of darkens it all down and makes it all a bit used. Being a powder, you can sort of tap some off and it stops going everywhere. But yeah, that's probably a little bit too dirty in some of those, so I'm just going to use more thinner. And again, let the thinner gravity drip it down away from the top, creating more down at the bottom, which I can then get rid of if I need to. And when the thinner dries, that will also fix all of that pigment in place. So that's pretty much that until that dries. Right, the last stage of this is just going to be some Nuln oil, again just around the engines, just to darken everything down. Actually, no, sorry, the engines and the guns. This Nuln oil is just again like a wash basically. It's not very dark in one coat, but you can add multiples if you want to, just to increase the effect. I'm going for subtle, so one might well be just enough. Just getting it into the bits much where I put the pigment before. Just making sure it goes into the recesses, just to make sure everything looks nice and grotty. There we go, that's that. Into the engine bits as well. That is just about that, I think. Don't think I'm going to need another coat on that. Happy with it not being really bad. I haven't done any sort of paint chips or chipping or anything else on this at all. I don't want it to be completely worn out and knackered. This is just a in-use fighter. So pretty much that's that. I'll let it dry, make sure it is as it should be, and then I'll show you the two together and we'll compare how they look. Right, one last tip. Using an airbrush with no paint in it, just the air, I can again blow in the direction of travel just to make sure everything gets blown where I want it to be, and that creates some more streaking down there as well, where there was little blobs of paint, which is exactly what I want. So also it helps it dry a bit quicker. A couple of patches too dark down there, I'll go back in with some thinner and get rid of those. But yeah, just thought I'd show you another use for an airbrush, as well as getting rid of dust from when you're filing. It can be used to help dry a little bit on these water-based paints and acrylics to a degree, but right, see you in a moment. And that's that. I've given it a matte coat, so that's finished. I'm happy with that. So the back looks quite filthy, but the rest of it actually looks fine until you see it next to another one, and then it really pops as to what's been done with it. I have decided to not touch the other one. I'm not going to do any weathering on it at all. So I've given that a matte varnish as well, so they're not exactly a matched set, but they're the same kit, painted the same way, but just one weathered and one not. So I quite like the contrast, so I'll put them on the stand together, get them on the turntable, and then finish up the video. And that's it completed, or them completed I should say, really. Both the same build, the same paint, but one weathered and one not. Nice to see the differences in it. When you see the weathered one on its own, it does look dirty, but it looks okay. When you see it next to the pristine white one, it shows just how much a wash can actually change it. The engine's obviously the worst bit. They're very dirty and grimy, as they should be. I'm happy with the build. It's nice to do with them in different formats, but nice to have a two in a pack that you can mess around with like that. Hope you've enjoyed watching the build. Hope you've got yourself a kit so you can do something similar, or something better, or something completely different, however you like. As ever, thanks for watching. If you do like what I've done, subscribe, watch the other videos. There's more to come as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.